Anybody else from outside of Jamaica joining us? If not, let's move to Kiwanians who are members of Division 25. Any interclubs from Division 25?
Good evening, everyone.
I see you, Director Designate Crystal. Go ahead.
Good evening, PE Stephen and everyone. This is Director Designate Crystal Heaven from the Kiwanis Club of Montego Bay. We have over 5 members on, including our dear President Susanna Harty. We're looking forward to a heated discussion, and thanks for the invite.
Thank you, and welcome to you, Director Designate Crystal and the rest of Montego Bay. Glad to have you here as usual, and I'm looking forward to your participation. We're still in Division 25. I think somebody else was opening their microphones. Go ahead. I don't know if you...
Yes. Good afternoon.
Yes, go ahead, Viola.
The roadway had been reduced to a single lane in some areas of the city.
You're on the floor now, Viola. Go ahead and speak. Or who was speaking from Division 25? Okay. Good afternoon. Yes.
This is immediate past President Indira from Kiwanis Club of Nigel Point. On behalf of the President, we bring you warm greetings. She's online at the moment. And another person, we're happy for the invite and hope it's to be an interesting discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, President Indira. Is there anybody else from Division 25? I think I was...
Sorry, somebody has a mic. Somebody has an open mic, and who is not really addressing us at the moment.
Person named Viola, DP Stu.
Okay, well, I'll do that.
Yeah, new to them, yeah.
Thank you.
I also see Kiwanis Club of Charlton, Alexandra, President Designate Ashana, through the chat is introducing herself. She's having some connectivity problems, but welcome, President Ashana and the rest of your delegation. We're still in Division 25, moving quickly along. Division 24. Any Kiwanians from Division 24? Division 23 West. Going once, going twice. 23 East. Moving along, 23 Central. Do we have any Kiwanians from 23 Central?
How are you doing?
PD, you ready to see? Go ahead, you have the floor.
Okay, great. So, I am President Eurydice from the Kiwanis Club of 23 Central Surrey Online. And at this time, I'm scanning the landscape and I'm only seeing my reflection. But I'll be courageous.
Yes.
And stay here and just represent the club.
Right.
And hope that others join.
I hope so also.
Yes. So
President Newton will say, once you're at Kiwanis Club of Kingston, you're never alone. So don't worry about it.
Great.
And Dr. Eurydice know that we love her. So she doesn't have to be courageous to stay amongst us. We protect her.
Great, thanks. That's even more, it's strengthened by now. So thank you, and I'll be here. Thanks.
Okay, good. Also quickly mentioning faculty advisor Aldith, who is joining us. Welcome, Aldith. Glad to have you here. We're still in Division 23 Central. I think I saw New Kingston. Quickly, we want to get to our main attraction, so ask everybody to quickly just introduce their delegation so we can move past this part of the program.
Good night.
Good night.
Yeah. PP Robert here from West St. Andrew. I couldn't miss this meeting. Members from my club are at another interclubbing. I couldn't miss the meeting as usual.
Right. So you made the choice to come here, and we're glad for that.
You mind.
So it's just you and everybody else is at the other interclub?
Yes, they are another interclubbing.
Okay. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed this evening's meeting and you participate in the discussion afterwards also.
Okay.
All right. Glad to have you, PP Robert. We're still in Division 23 Central. Anybody else would like to introduce themselves or their delegation? Going once, going twice. I assume everybody else is from Kiwanis Club of Kingston, or who are guests of Kiwanians, or are track enthusiasts, or proud Jamaicans, and that's why they're participating this evening. We're happy for each and every one of you who is here this evening. And on behalf of Kiwanis Club of Kingston, thank you again. And if there's nothing further, back to you, President Newton.
Good night. I'm PVP Viola from Kiwanis Club of St. Andrew.
Yes.
I'm alone, but I'm interested in sports, so I have to come and listen. Anticipating a wonderful and informative meeting.
Okay. Thank you, Viola. And I saw you were trying to speak earlier, but we're hearing you loud and clear now.
Well, one thing I can tell you, if you're a sport enthusiast, yes, I guarantee you that your expectations will be exceeded this evening. Complete guarantee. And if it's not, just go and check PE Stephen. All right. Thank you, PE Stephen. We are now at apologies for absence. I have not received any apologies. DLG, Willie, have you received any?
Just to recognize the fact that Director Warren McDonald is off the island. He's currently in Canada, and Treasurer Orville is in Grand Cayman on business.
Okay. President Caris, any apologies?
I have 2 apologies for 2 of my members, that is Kiwanian Director Matthew and Treasurer Designate Sabrina. They have other engagements this evening, but they send their best.
Okay, great. One of the good things, President Caris, you can tell them, and everyone else on the platform, you can tell those who you know that this evening, like every other Tuesday evening meeting, is on our YouTube page. So if whatever you have missed or whatever you enjoy and you want to go back to it, you can always go to the YouTube page of the Kiwanis Club of Kingston, and the recording will be there. All right. Then we move into recognition of birthdays and anniversaries. So PE Stephen will bring us through those for Kingston. And then President Caris, our representative, will bring us through the birthdays and anniversaries for Barbican. So PE Stephen, back to you.
Yes, thank you, President Newton. Okay, quickly, I'm back with you to celebrate or recognize our birthdays and anniversaries for Kingston Club members, as well as members of the Barbican Club for this week. That's August 13th to August 20th. So we have 3 Kiwanians who will be celebrating special occasions this week. First of all, we have past Chairman George Gillings and his wife Cynthia. They have their wedding anniversary on the 15th of August. That's 2 days from now. So happy anniversary to them when that comes around. DP Dalma James' wife, Catherine, has her birthday on August 16th. So all the best to you, Catherine, when that rolls around. And Kiwanian Gary Lee Singh has his birthday also on August 16th. So to those Kiwanians and celebrating birthdays and anniversaries, all the best to you. Congrats and God bless. President Caris, I don't know if there's any member of your club that has a birthday that you're celebrating this week, or
none at this time. Sorry.
None? Okay, no problem. And if there's anybody on the call who also would like to identify their birthday this week or wedding anniversary, if not,
our special occasion, such as finally getting your child to leave home.
It doesn't appear so.
No,
and our numbers are going up. So
I kind of feel peace, even they just want us to get out of the way of the 4 speakers. So let's move towards that.
Indeed. Right. Go ahead, President Newton.
One of the things we always do at our meeting for Kiwanis Club of Kingston is each meeting that you come to, you must leave learning a little more about what is Kiwanis and what it is that we do. So President Caris will bring us now through Kiwanis education.
I'll invite PD Kevonia for the Kiwanis education this evening.
Hello, good evening. Everyone hearing me?
Yes, we are.
Yes, yes, we are.
Yes,
Okay, good. All right, so I'm PD Kevonia of Barbican, and I'll be going through Kiwanis education. The topic for today is the importance of role model for children. So the topic is anyone can be a role model in a child's life, such as a parent, a family member, friend, or even a member of a Kiwanis club. Children tend to mimic their role models, so how the role model act is in different situations impact how the child will act in different situations in the future. Much of the learning during childhood is gained through observation and imitation. The role model, sorry, my voice kind of moving. The role model who children look up to help shape how the children behave in school, in their relationship, and making decisions. Here are some of the most important things children learn from their role models. 1, how to treat other people, including being courteous, generous, and a contributing member of society. 2, how to deal with problems and find solutions. 3, a strong work ethic. 4, how to take care of themselves, including eating habits, exercise, and balanced commitments. 5, patience. 6, how to handle stress and frustration. 7, how to express anger, sadness, joy, and other emotions. 8, openness to try new things, learning and having an open mind. So I'm gonna 8. 9, how to deal with mistakes, responsibilities, expectation, competitions and loss. 10, how to celebrate special occasions. You can act as a positive role model for a child in your community and impact their life by joining your local Kiwanis club. Kiwanis clubs look at the needs of children in their community and decide on the projects that will benefit local children the most. By joining your local Kiwanis club, you will be joining a global community of clubs members and partners dedicated to improving the life of children in one community at a time. Reach out to your local Kiwanis club today and get involved. That is your Kiwanis education for today.
Thank you. And I just want to add to that I know for certain in Jamaica, but I am pretty sure it is the same all around the world, that when as Kiwanians we try to be role model, we also have to be cognizant of the fact that we're not just we're just not starting from ground zero, because many of these kids that we are trying to impact have had negative role models in their lives. So we have to overcome what they have been learning before, the negative side, and then infuse the positive. So we know we do this thing because we love it, not because we get paid or get accolades. So thank you, sir. All right. We are now at the part of the evening that everyone is here to imbibe. And it is why is it that we did how we did in Paris? Some persons are of the opinion that we did exactly what was expected. Some people had high expectations. Some people are thinking that we underperformed, but I am not one of the experts. So we got 4 experts this evening who will bring us through. And so at this point, I'm going to hand over to Chairman DP Stewart Spencer to introduce our panelists and for them to take us through what really happened in Paris and why. So DP Stewart.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, President Newton. Fellow Kiwanians and guests, it is my pleasure this afternoon to basically be the moderator, act as a moderator for a panel. And we have 4 panelists. Now, one is not yet online. She just told me that I guess CVM has asked her to be on, and so she's gonna be a little bit late. And that I'm referring to is Dr. Olivia Rose, but she'll be joining us as soon as she can. I have it's on CVM, so I have my TV on CVM, so I'm gonna see when she's on and when she comes off. It'll give me an idea of when we're gonna be able to link with her. Okay, the other panelists that we have Dr. Rachael Irving. She is the professor of biochemistry and sports science at the University of the West Indies at Mona. She has been with us not too long ago, telling us about injury prevention and the technology and the science behind what is happening today. And in addition, we have Leighton Levy, who is a well-known sports journalist, and he writes a lot. He's on SportsMax a lot, and everybody knows Leighton by now, and we're really happy to have him. And we also have Dr. Clyde Morrison. He has been team doctor on for different teams over the years, an avid sports person. And I don't mind mentioning a fellow Calabar man. Somebody identified himself as a KC man. Well, we have a Calabar man around. And the other person I mentioned, who is Dr. Olivia Rose, she'll be joining us a little later. So let me just say welcome to you all. We just keep it informal. You know, we keep the first names. I'm Stewart. So we have Rachael, Clyde, and Leighton at this moment. Now, if you looked at the flyer, you will see the kind of format I wanted to take the discussion through. I wanted to have a look initially at the performances in Paris, you know, from the ones that we are really happy about to the ones that we weren't so happy about. And then we want to look at what are some of the factors that could have impacted those performances. A lot of people who are fans of athletics, of track and field, are not aware of some of the things behind the scenes that can impact performance. So we want to talk a bit about that this evening. And then we want to look at the way forward in terms of what Jamaica needs to do in order that we can have a better outcome next time. And that is not to say that what we did this time was that bad. I mean, 6 medals, including 1 gold, is not that bad, but it's just below what we were expecting. And that is what happens when you have higher expectations. So I'm gonna ask Leighton, I think you might be a good person to start off with. I'm gonna ask you to give me, just take a quick look, just do it just in 2 minutes. You know, the standout moments for you and the ones that we thought were a little, well, it doesn't matter which ones you draw attention. Just choose whichever ones you want to talk about, whether it's one of the ones that were, you know, high up on the totem pole or ones that were a bit lower. And then we'll mix it up. I'll go to the panelists around, and then we'll mix it up a little bit after that. So Leighton, you first.
Okay, good evening, everyone. How are you all this evening?
Good, we're good.
All right, so what stood out for me is, I'll describe it in 2 phases. One, the impact of our field eventers, who without their medals, Jamaica's participation in these Olympic Games would have been a complete disaster. And of course, it's then now brings me to, for me, what was one of the most outstanding performances across the board, and that's Roger Stoner's Olympic gold medal. Not just the fact that he won gold, but the fact that he set an Olympic record. And it was totally unexpected. I think the odds of him winning gold was 99-1 among the odds makers of the Olympic Games. So you're looking at an unexpected gold medal, and of course, history created by Shanika Ricketts by being the first Jamaican Olympian woman to win out a medal in a field event at the Olympic Games. Of course, you're talking about Rajendra Campbell's the bronze medal in the shot put. That was also unexpected to a degree. And of course, Wayne Pinnock's silver medal in the long jump. It just shows you, and it's something that I've been saying for years, that Jamaica is more than just sprints. But we've been overly obsessed with the sprints forever, since Her McKinley and Arthur Wynne back in 1948. So that's understandable. But over the years, Jamaica's talents have spread, just the spectrum has spread well beyond the sprints. We've started jumpers, now we have throwers, we have field eventers who are doing well, and they came to the fore at these Olympic Games. So that's what stood out for me in Paris this summer.
Okay, thanks, Leighton. Clyde, I'm gonna go to you next. Give me your initial, your first impressions.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you. We're hearing you.
Okay. First, I'd like to debunk the idea that we did badly at Paris.
Right.
Okay. Olympics is not only about gold, silver, and bronze, about how you perform. And if you look at the facts, we did well across the board. To become a finalist at the Olympic is a big thing. It means that you're in the top. If it's a run event, you're in the top 8 in the world. If it's a field event, you're in the top 12 in the world. And we got a lot of, we had 21 finalists in 13 events, which I think is huge. The fact is that our expectations were, or our super expectations were around probably two very, very special persons. And the fact is that we have no control over the fact that injury took them out of the competition. That is Sherika and Shelley. So, it's pointless arguing about that because they were injured and couldn't compete. So naturally, our expectations would have had to take a notch down. But that aside, I'm saying that we had 21 finalists in 13 events. We had 7 field events, as was mentioned, and 6 track events. We had 2 finalists in 4 events. We had 3 finalists in 2 events. That I think is a good performance. And the idea that we did badly, I really want us to rethink it. Yes, it would be nice, I guess, if we can talk about what problems existing. But my thing is that we did very well in the Olympics. Since 2004, 2008, our expectations got very high. And we person talk about that as the boat era. And we know about that. But apart from that peak, for example, our performance this time is equal to the performance exactly equal to the performance in Atlanta in 1990s. The same amount of medals we got, same type of medals as well. So that for me is the takeaway that yes, we were disappointed in certain ways, but our performance in Tokyo was a good one. Sorry, in Paris was a good one.
Okay, I guess people are still thinking that because of what happened in 2008 in Beijing and what followed after, they're not comparing it back to Atlanta at that time. But I'm very happy that you pointed that out, because I was looking at a table. I'm gonna try and pull it up, which had the medal performances of Jamaica going back as far as 1948. And there were many times, as you know, there are times when we either got 1 medal or we got none, so we have been through it. And it's just that we're now going to a stage where, our expectations are definitely, higher. Now, I'm going to ask, thanks for those comments, Clyde. I'm going to ask Rachael, Doc, can you I know you are one of the reasons why you're here. I know we're gonna lean on you in when it comes to the science and the technology, but you may have some overall impressions of the games that you might want to share. So let me ask you for your initial impressions.
Good night, everyone. I think we did pretty well based on the condition we faced. I think we weren't there, but I think we did pretty well. It could have been worse.
Qualify that for me, because you said in terms of you said something about in terms of something, but you didn't say what.
In terms of the climate change, I don't think we were as prepared for France as we should be. The World Athletics had done a study to find out the reaction to climate increase in temperature. And I remember in Doha, 2019, Dr. Dawson was there, and we were on WhatsApp talking about climate change. And she was like, Rachel, I need to keep them hydrated. You know, this is a different Olympics after many years. We have to change how we approach things. And I remember her saying to me, I'm going on the ground to find out what is the take. How do you react to temperature? How do you keep the athletes from getting injured? I don't think we were as prepared as we should be. And as far as I'm concerned, I was a little bit disappointed because I feel we let them down. We let them down. They could have done better. Sure, Shelley at 37, I was cheering for her to be the first woman at 37 to win a gold at the Olympics. I was just praying. I want that history to be Jamaica. And it never happened. I saw Shelley with a fan. She had a little fan just, trying to grease herself. She had water in her mouth. Her coach had an umbrella over her. In this time and age, it's not supposed to be. She's supposed to be in clothing. She's supposed to have something around the head. She's supposed to be fully hydrated, hydrated. So I'm disappointed that Jamaica didn't do as much as they should for people who bring us wonderful, wonderful joy.
Okay, something you shared with me previously. You mentioned the type of clothing that people can use. In other words, it's not just your vest. Nowadays, it's not just your vest. Tell us a little bit about some of the options out there that people are using and that we don't seem to have caught up in terms of what people are using worldwide.
You have fan that you can wear around your neck. You have ice vest. You have cooling clothes. You have something to cool the head. You have what we call a global thermometer that measures humidity, measure you as an individual, and measure the temperature around you so that you know where you ought to be and how you are to moderate that temperature. As a matter of fact, this is the hypothesis that they use when they chose Los Angeles for 2028 Olympics, because they are looking at the Pacific Ocean that will be cooling the city. And the data is there. So I don't understand how Jamaica could have gone and not used that data to ensure that we were okay. We did pretty well based on what we were faced with. We did darn well, I would say, based on what we were faced with.
Okay, so now we're looking at some other aspects, and we can go more into that when we get to the part about the things that have impacted we kind of touched on it at this stage, but we're gonna get a little bit more into it. Clyde, what would you say in terms, well, let me just throw this in, our hurdlers in particular. I can remember, let's talk about the hurdles for a minute, because we had quite a few hurdlers. We had 3 in the finals of the men's 100, if I remember correctly. We had 3 persons in the, I'm not sure, no, all 3 didn't reach the finals for the 400 men, but I think two did. what? No, one did. One did. And I want to get a comment about both Malik, James King, and Rashawn did the same thing in their respective races, one in the semifinals and one in the finals, where they hit the last hurdle and that threw them out of contention. Would you like to comment on that? Just to give us an idea. Is it that, you know, by the 10th hurdle, your legs are tired, or did any of them lose a little focus? I have an opinion on that, but just give me an idea of what you thought about that. And I'll ask Leighton to comment on it as well. Can you hear me? I'm not hearing. Leighton, you want to take that?
Yeah, my take on it is simply this. I think in most of the instances, the occasion got to the athletes. Malik James King, for example, they realized the last meet that he ran before the Olympic Games, he hit the last two hurdles, 9 and 10, and still ran 47.73. And he went back into the Olympics in the semifinals and did the same thing. I think we're looking at a situation where the occasion and maybe a loss of focus. And there are some other factors as well that I think affected the entire team. It's not just the hurdlers, because when you look at Akira Nugent, who's been hurdling flawlessly virtually all season, and she comes to the final and clatters like 3 hurdles and then did not finish. There is more than just the hurdles. It's a lot of different factors that I think has impacted this team psychologically. And I think it's a pity that Olivia isn't here just now to shed some further light on it. But I have some opinions. I'll just, if I'm allowed to, I'll just share what those opinions are as to why things happen the way they do.
One second, Leighton. Let me just ask. Olivia, are you on? Because she has messaged me, and I'm not sure if she came to us before going to CVM. Okay, well, if she hasn't responded, then that means that she...
I'm on. I'm on.
that I was trying to figure out.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening.
Good evening, Olivia. Yeah. So here's my take, and whether Olivia will either debunk what I said or she will corroborate what I said. Either way, I'm fine with it. I think going into these Olympic Games, I think things got off on the back foot from the very beginning with the miscommunication between the athletes and the GOA and the J3s as to which athletes were going to be selected. The Nelka Clooney situation. That, I think, started the process of destabilizing the athletes. Then you go into the Olympic Games, and then initially, if you look at what happened in 2008, 2012, and 2016, you're seeing Bolt set the trend. I remember Millian Walker saying after the 2008 Olympic Games that when Bolt went out there and won, it spread a sense of belief throughout the camp that they too could also triumph in Beijing. And of course, we saw the results there with 5 gold medals in Beijing and then going on to eventually 4 in London and of course 6 in Brazil 4 years later. The thing is this, these Olympic Games, the chaos surrounding the J3, the GOA, and the communication between the athletes then transitioned into Sherika pulling out of the 100 first, then pulling out of the 200, then Shelly pulling out of the 100-meter semifinals. I think that spread a sense of uncertainty among the players, the athletes, I should say. And I think that manifested itself in how they performed throughout the championships, notwithstanding the success that we saw from the field eventers. But when you consider that a lot of the team that was in, bulk of the team that was in Paris are youngsters. They're between the ages of 19 and 23. They're inexperienced at this level. They did not have the leadership among the athletes because of the issues surrounding the so-called leaders in terms of the Sharikas and the Shellys in terms of their own personal issues. And I think it manifested itself in how the athletes performed. I think everything came together in a confluence that impacted the confidence of the athletes and ultimately their performances. So that's what I think happened to the hurdlers. What happened to, of course, Nikisha Price is an exception because she picked up a stomach virus before her semifinal and was, she was weakened because she was throwing up and she had bouts of diarrhea, I'm told. So she didn't have the energy to advance from the semifinal. But outside of that, and with the exceptions of the field eventers who are primarily mostly experienced athletes, the inexperienced ones were impacted by what happened in leading up to their respective events in Paris.
Okay, I want to bring in Olivia. I'm not sure at what time you actually logged on, so I'm not sure what you had heard. But since you said you came to us before going to CVM, we're gonna have to make use of your presence. Like no. I want to throw you into this another aspect. We didn't travel to Paris with a sports psychologist. And I want you to just give me a sense of how having a sports psychologist with a team like that could have made a difference. And I'll just mention 3 things. The one I'm not sure if all of you have heard about the situation with Alana Reed. She did an Instagram live where she spoke about being accosted and draped up by Paris policemen. And she was just trying to run to get to the bus. I don't think she understood to this day why they were harassing her. And she was traumatized by it. And she said that when she changed her routes completely afterwards so that she never had to pass that particular point again. And you could see what based on what it, and this was before they ran the 4x1. Certainly before they ran the finals. I'm not sure if it was before they ran the round 1. But she was really just trying to get to the bus to get to training. Then we have the situation with Thomas Dodd, and we have a situation with Distin, who were clearly upset about well, they didn't do as well as they expected, but they also think that the associations involved didn't do enough to help them to get to achieve what they wanted to achieve. So just give me an idea of what would a sports psychologist have done or could have helped in situations like those.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I hope everybody's hearing me. Are you hearing me?
Yeah, we're hearing you. We're hearing you, Olivia.
I don't know, some connection with my phone and my car. All right. I didn't hear all of the question, but I think the essence of it was what difference would a sports psychologist make if they were with the team? All right. So first of all, a sports psychologist, as I am a trained, licensed professional practicing in Jamaica and the English-speaking Caribbean, we are not fixers of everything with a magic wand. Okay, that's point number 1. However, we could, had the services been employed at least after the team was named, so people would know who that person is on the ground, having a certain relationship with them, and so on. We could be able to establish a certain type of rapport with the athlete so that they know who we are, and there's a relationship building process that would take place first. And then once we're there on the ground with them, traveling with them, when people become extremely frustrated or lose motivation, or as Leighton said, the loss of inspiration from leaders amongst themselves, then they would be assisted in terms of rerouting and reprogramming their minds to execute regardless, or execute as best as they can. Because once I am traveling with a team and they start complaining or they start yeah, complaining excessively, be it justified or not, I can tell you almost 99% of the time that performance is not going to be good. So it's really, and there are conditions that should have been researched before in terms of weather, in terms of meals, and also general management of the athletes, that should have been taken care of, I guess, in a better way, or provision should be made. And we don't know what all of what is or what wasn't, because we are getting bits and pieces of what happened. But definitely in terms of some of them complaining about the heat and the humidity and probably just a new climate space and food and culture and everything, that's a condition that's right across the board for all athletes. So yes, some athletes were more privileged, some countries provided more tangible support and so on, so they could take advantage of those situations. But at the same time, it's really about a myriad of things that clearly just wasn't seeming to line up in our favor from the get-go. And there were so many that we'd just be repeating ourselves of some of what we are aware of, because there may be way more that has not been mentioned or that we don't know of. So a sports psychologist is not a magic wand person. However, we would be able to help the athlete to reframe and reroute.
Sorry, somebody has a mic open.
Yeah,
Not
and
sure.
I am now not even hearing you clearly.
Sorry.
What? You have one on the machine, like adventures.
Who's that? Who's that? I'm not sure who that is.
Melissa Harris. Melissa Harris, please mute your mic.
Okay, I
Thank
just
you.
closed it. I just closed it. Sorry about that, Olivia. Yeah. Oh, are you there?
Lord, are you hearing me? I'm finished though. I think I was finished, and I'm not sure if this is CM calling, but
okay.
Are you hearing me?
I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you. Yes, and I heard what you said.
You though, not something.
You're not hearing us?
I'm gonna end the chat and come back in and see if that's better.
Okay. Okay. Do that. Do that. All right. Clyde, I was calling on you before, and I didn't hear you, but I know you're still on. Are you hearing us now, or are you on now?
Yes, I lost my audio, so
Okay.
I'm on a different instrument. So
Okay.
that failed.
Okay. We were just touching on the hurdlers, and Leighton had given a view, but I'm more or less an overall view as to some of the things that he felt would have impacted. Now, one of the things that I want to say pretty early, although, is that and this whole situation about personal coaches, I don't want the GOA still hasn't answered the questions, and I want to put it on record as that we're asking the questions, because a lot of people are asking the questions. And for those of you who are not aware, the GOA led the J3As to believe that they were limited to 9 personal coaches. That is a fact, okay? They also did not send to the J3As the document, which is called the Team Leaders Guide, or Team Leaders Manual, if you want to call it that, which was sent by the IOC and was basically for the J3As. Apparently, each sport would have gotten one. Well, athletics would be the one with the biggest number of members. Now, in that document, the way they calculate the number of personal coaches, that document outlines it, and it showed definitely. Now, when the 3As got to Paris, they were they went to the, to the, I don't know if it's a window, but, they went to check, because I think at that time they were trying to see what they could do for this thing. And that's when they were told, didn't you get the documents? And answer was no. They went back and they asked the JOA representative, and that's when it was WhatsApp to them. Now, and then it was discovered that they were entitled to, they could have taken 15 personal coaches. Now, clearly something like that could have had a better outcome if that had been known, and the JOA has not really answered the question that people are asking. Why was that done? Why was that kept from them? Were the other accreditations, were they used? Who used them? What were the roles? But those are questions that need to be asked, and we need to get answers. Now, I want to go back to the other things that clearly had an impact on outcomes. So I just want to put that on the table. Now, in terms of Claudia, if I had a thought about Rashawn in terms of when he hit that last hurdle, but I prefer if you we don't want, I want to move off the hurdles, but since you didn't get a chance to comment, I want to allow you to do so.
Yeah, what are you asking me about Rashawn?
Yeah, it was not only him, but I was saying it was interesting that both Malik and Rashawn both hit the last hurdle when they were in a relatively good position. Rashawn, I think, was in a fourth place position, whereas Malik was really in a good position to at least qualify for the finals. And they both had the same kind of situation where they had this misfortune of hitting the last hurdle, and that put them out of contention. That's what I wanted to get your comment on.
Well, that is why the event is called hurdles, because it is something that you have to hurdle over. That, if you're running straight, to make life easy. And hurdles is a very unkind event because of that. And for the 400 hurdles, when you reach to about hurdle 8, somebody comes on the track and puts the hurdle higher, it seems. But always, it's easy to lose one's focus when they get around to, when they're tiring and get to hurdles 8, 9, and 10. And so a lot of problems occur at those hurdles because you're getting tired and you're just not executing as well as you can. So the chance of an error taking place is high in those hurdles. And it's just unfortunate that it happened with 2 young, fairly inexperienced hurdlers. These are guys who have a great future ahead of them. Their first time, Malik certainly on a stage as big as this. And, it's really just unfortunate. And we are expecting that they're going to get past this. And next time around, when they come to hurdles 10, 8, 9, and 10, they'll hurdle them properly. But it does happen, especially coming towards the end of a 400 hurdles race. It happens. And we forgive them for it. We're sorry it happened, and we hope it doesn't happen again.
Okay. I want to shift a little bit to the issue in terms of some of the things that Rachel spoke about, and also Olivia actually touched on. Is we're wondering about I don't know if any, well, the chef de mission is the person who is really responsible for going to the venue before. And I want to make it clear that a lot of other countries took steps when they went to Paris prior to the games, and then concluded that, look, this is not going to be adequate for our team. And we're not aware of what Jamaica did beforehand. We seem to have gotten there and then discovered that, even the things about the fans and the thing, and well, here we got some AC, some portable AC units. Rachel, would you like to?
It's probably unfortunate that, considering that the largest part of our Olympic team is track and field, that nobody from the J3s was a part of the delegation that went ahead of the meet to look at the conditions. That might have preempted some of the problems and caused corrections had J3 members been included in that advance party to look at the venue. And because now, for example, when there's a World Athletics Champions meet, a J3 team goes and they look at it and they see all the nuances and everything and can make their plans. But no J3's person was a part of the team that went to look at the venue, unfortunately.
But the reason I think in terms of the Olympic Games, and the same holds for Commonwealth Games or Pan Am Games, for these, just for everybody's knowledge, for these events, the GOA is really in charge.
Exactly.
Now, what I don't know if in previous administrations, if the GOA would have said to the J3A, send somebody with us, so that, because it's really GOA's responsibility. But whether they would have been equipped to assess all these conditions, what I'm really not privy to, in the days when Mike Fennell would have been the president of the GOA, what I don't know is whether he would have said to the J3s, we want somebody from your team to come with us when we're doing this inspection. I don't know. But I do know that nobody, as you just said, nobody from the J3s went on this. And, we end up with a situation where we have conditions that are really not adequate, and especially the whole thing about the temperature.
Can I come in here, Stuart?
Sure. Please.
It's
go ahead.
a little more than that in this era.
Yes.
It's in high temperature, you need water dense food. So it's not just the food, it's a scientific evaluation of the food. So what is it that we have in Paris that is comparable to what we eat and will allow our muscles to contract and give us the energy to go over the last hurdle? What is it that will allow us to have the energy to finish a race? Did we compare the food? Because Paris must protect themselves. They said they are reducing the carbon footprint, so they didn't want certain food and all of that. But did somebody go and look at the menu they have and say, hey, our guys usually eat something mackerel, or they usually eat a piece of chicken? Look at our Caribbean caloric counter and look at their food and match it in terms of supplementation. Or what are we going to tell them to eat to match what they eat to run properly? So it is another level. We have to move beyond the J3, some cook, ordinary cook going there. It has to be scientific at this stage if we are to survive.
How do we get there? Because clearly the knowledge resides in Jamaica. You are one of the experts in that particular area. But why is it not happening? Is it just a lack of awareness of how important these things are?
I don't think Jamaica has caught up with the science. We are good. Genetically, we have boys and girls champion. We are trained. But regardless how good you are, if the conditions are not there for you to perform. And I say this because I teach in medicine. I see people come from other schools, they never did well, but when they come and you present them and you teach them properly, they're as good as anybody who went to a camp here. We have to present the condition. We have to present the condition so that whoever we train can perform optimally. So we have to, and what I would want at this stage is that we do a survey of what happened from all who went, or at least to say, what were the conditions? So we are prepared for Los Angeles 2028. We have to be prepared. We can't do this again.
You know, these are some of the things that people are not really
Can I,
talking
sorry,
about.
Stuart,
Yes,
can I just weigh in here for a second?
please,
To, to,
please.
to, to the doctor's point, one of the things that we first need to do in this country, you see, is a simple thing. You can't have people running organizations as if to say it's only for recreation. Sport is a business, huh? And you would not take a man off the street and put him in a position of a CEO to run a Grace Kennedy, for example, or run a Digicel or any other big corporations in Jamaica. So why do we do that in sport? The reality is that we need to put people in position that have the similar kind of thinking that we just heard a while ago about how we position ourselves, how we interact with the space within the sport that we're trying to excel at, and how we can put ourselves in position to be better. We cannot go and do the same things over and over again. This is not 1930s anymore. We have to put people in position who have the acumen for running the sport the way it should be run. Unless that changes, nothing else will.
Well, anybody else wants to come in on the same point?
Okay, it is not, unfortunately, I'm not aware that there is a precedence of any national debriefing that takes place after any of these events. For example, I'm sure the GOA will have a review meeting. I'm sure J3 will have a review meeting. But that's never been that there's any national debate coming out of this. So maybe because of all the interest that has been generated, maybe the Ministry of Sports are the ones who may have to decide that, okay, let's have a proper debriefing of this game, and that could form the basis of some different sort of planning going forward. But what usually happens is that each association has their own meeting, their own assessment, and that's the end of that. So maybe going forward, with all of the debate that has been generated, we may need a higher body asking for a proper debriefing.
But then you usually come upon the wall that says, you know, government is not supposed to interfere, or government cannot really instruct. And this is, I think this has, and these associations generally are kind of unto themselves. You know, for example, the public can't replace any of them. You know, they have their own systems. In fact, I'm just saying that although I agree with what is being said, what I'm trying to figure out is, how do we get to that point?
Well, I'm not talking about replacing. I'm just saying that it begins with a proper evaluation. As I'm saying, from my point of view, we did okay, you know, but we're hearing about more of the details. There seems to be room for a proper debriefing of what happened. I mean, this is not that IOC is going to say that the government is interfering. It is the government's right to ask certain questions.
All right. No. Okay. Let's go along with that idea then, Clyde. We do a debriefing, and we come to the conclusion that either one or two of the persons who are in leadership positions or in management positions really are not cutting it. How you change it? Because we can't go in and change it.
Therein lies the problem. So for example, what Dr. Irving just said a while ago, why is she not an integral part of preparing major teams for major championships? But you see, you have people who are in position who, and to answer your question, there is nothing on the face of it that the general public can do, because these little fiefdoms are created to prevent that kind of intervention. And as a result, the same thing happens over and over and over again. It was Einstein who said they keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result of insanity. So what we are bordering on is insanity. And this is not a knee-jerk reaction to what happened in Paris. This has been an ongoing problem across all sports in this country. And until we find a way to get the people in position who have the ability and the foresight and the vision to then take these sports forward, they'll always be running on the spot. Because look, what we had, we just came out of a Bolt era, for example, right? And we took nothing from that era to inform us on how to move forward from there. And that's part of the problem, because we're not moving forward. The athletes, I remember Howard Aries said, I think it was either 2008 and 2009, that the athletes have become world class. Our administrators need to follow suit. That has not happened in the last 20 years. In fact, it's gone backwards in many instances. And therein lies the problem.
All right, I wanna take us a little different direction. I wanna bring in. Let me ask Olivia. Olivia, are you still on, or you have gone to CVM? I just want to make sure, because I know you had the other engagement, and I just want to meet. If I know you're here, then I would do something to involve you. But all right, Rachel, one of the things that you have spoken about is the science and technology that can help us to prevent injuries. I want you to share a bit more of that with our audience, so that people realize that, because there's a general feeling that if you have talent and good coaching, then you're set. But I think we have reached a point now where we are realizing that talent and good coaching is not going to be enough to excel in the world that we are looking forward to. So I want you to give us a little idea of what are some of the methodologies that exist now in terms of helping us to prevent, using science and technology to prevent injuries. Please go ahead.
Science and good coaching are absolutely necessary. I'm not a coach. You understand me? Good coaching is absolutely necessary. We have master coach, and we need to help them along the way. But to strive in this era, you need science. For example, many of our athletes run to Germany when they are injured. We have orthopedic surgeons. We have physiatrists in Jamaica. There must be a synergy where we are able to help. If you get sick and you run to Germany, the guy has to find out everything about you on spot. Where is the background knowledge? What caused this injury? He doesn't know to treat it effectively. We have things like you can use what you call insole to see when you're inflamed. So before you get severely inflamed and you get damage, your insole say, listen, you need to rest or you need to do some other exercise. We have, for muscle damage, before it's severely damaged, we have what we call a biometric analyzer you can put on. And if the muscles start making some noise, we call it echo intensity, you know there is a problem. Why are we not using these technology? Why does it need to be extreme? We hear that Elaine is injured, and where's the follow-up in between? Where's the science? How do we feed for maximal performance? How do we feed so that your glucose level is at a certain concentration, so your ATP fires, so your muscles contract rapidly, so that the time goes down, so that when you reach 80 meters, you don't tire. We have to do that. We have to personalize your metabolism. And that's what the US, that's what Kenya is doing. Why are we not doing that?
Okay. Now tell us, without necessarily calling names, tell us what you have exposed some coaches to, or what kind of reaction you've gotten from coaches. And you don't have to tell us, you don't have to give us names.
We worked with a school 1 year on temperature change, that if they use some of that data, we would have done better in Paris. Temperature change, sleep, heat effect, hydration, dehydration, what hydration is best for running the 100 meter, what hydration is best for the 200 meter. And that year we work with a school, and that year they won boys and girls championship.
You can
3
tell us the
years.
school. You can tell us the school. That
It
is
was
okay.
JC. We worked with JC. We worked with JC. For 3 years, we worked with Calabar. And Chris Taylor, I can call his name, because he was for 3 years, we borrowed equipment from major companies abroad. Stridalizer, we borrowed socks, sensor. Chris went to Cali, Colombia, and did very well. After a while, the science was no longer important. The science was no longer important. 3 years, the 3 years that we work with Calabar and lactate level, at a certain lactate level, if it's not moderated, you're going to get injured. And we have proven that because we have done it for 3 years. So your lactate level must be at a certain concentration for you to perform, for your muscles to contract maximally.
How do you measure that? Just roughly.
Just a simple lactate meter. A simple lactate meter. We can oximeter. We can have a simple oximeter measure your lung function to make sure you're breathing into your metabolism. These are things that you need. We don't have to have these
Is that oximeter like what they started to talk about
that they
during
use
COVID?
like when you have COVID. Yes.
Okay,
to make
I know what
sure
you
we can use simple things. All we have to do is use those big guys' technology in a simple way, because we can't do all that research, but we customize the research for our population. We need to customize their research for our population. And this is what World Athletics did on temperature change. When in Japan, the temperature was higher than in Paris, but Japan, Waseda University ensured that the athletes did not suffer as much. US used that technology. Britain used that technology. Canada used it is there. Why did we not use it to ensure? People will say that, hey, that's stupidness because Jamaica is just as hot or even hotter than Paris. No, they have concrete. It's the amount of people there. It's the food you're eating at that time. Is the way the sun hits the city that will have temperature surge. And we have to plan so that, hey, you guys are going there, this is what we are going to do so that it doesn't affect you, so you can give us the 13 gold medal that many predict and didn't happen. Because I feel Akira Nugent could have done it. But with everything, the psychology and with the food, not giving her water dense food and, not preparing her so she's cool and all of that, everything was just out of sync. And we need to sit down and say, hey, we're not blaming anybody. We are all Jamaica. Where have we gone wrong? How can we reach?
Okay, you mentioned, you said so. Okay, we talked about the food a little, and I did see where France had said, or that they were going to provide plant-based food,
right.
and I think you had said to me that the amount that you have to give it the same amount of carbohydrates, energy, right, is gonna vary. Now
you have to calculate it, right?
Okay, no, the other countries like the US. They weren't. I don't think they were eating that. They had their own arrangement with a restaurant. Isn't that so?
Yeah, but they were eating plant-based food, but they had calculated what it is because they have to preserve the carbon footprint as well. In terms of supporting France. They gave France the chance to have the Olympics. So France decided that we had to reduce carbon footprint by using some underwater cooling and all that. It could have been worse if they didn't do that. So US did what they had to do, but guess what? They did what they had to do, but not at the expense of their athletes. They were prepared. So they had their restaurant and they tried to use as much plant-based food as possible. But the calculation was done from the US. So this is what we're going to eat. This is what you offer in France. This is what we are going to eat to ensure that you do well.
Okay. Well, all right. I want to allow, I know there are some questions, there are other areas that we want to go on, but I think at this point, I want to open it because to the floor so that some of the things that people are thinking of and want to probe, you know, you get a chance. So if there's anyone in the audience who has a burning question, we can take some and then we can go back to the panel. But you gotta put up your hand. That's how I will see who wants to ask a question. Oh, I see a hand, but not yes. Go ahead.
Sorry, DP Stewart. I see where we're going tonight. So at this point, I'm going to ask a member of the Kiwanis Club of Kingston to move a motion that we extend by 30 minutes to complete this evening our business.
Okay, so I will move it. I will move it.
Okay, moved by DP Stewart, and I see DP Earl's mouth moving to say seconded. His mic is closed, but I can read his lips. Okay, DP Stewart, back to you.
Thank you. Okay.
Back to you, DP Stewart.
Sure. Okay. There aren't any hands up at this point, so I will just continue with where we were. In terms of, I want a quick comment on the repechage system. That was a new feature. Leighton, you want to tell me what you think about that particular system and how well you think it worked?
It's a new word too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like it.
You don't like it.
No, and here's why. If you are the system before where the next fastest finishers qualify, why do you need to run an extra race? The athletes is the people who do the repechage round are going to be extra tired because they have to run an extra race. So they're already at a disadvantage coming in. Why would you even worsen that advantage by having them expend more energy before you go into the next round? To me, it makes no sense.
Clyde, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, from a medical point of view, I thought it was a little much. I mean, I hear them that the idea is to give an athlete a second chance, but really and truly, as I'm saying, from a strictly medical point of view, it's probably putting the athletes through a lot because they are gonna be they're not the top athletes. I mean, for somebody who just perform badly and he gets a second chance, okay. But generally speaking, you're making somebody in a limited time run an extra round. For example, with an 800 meters, an extra 800 meters is not a joke, you know.
No.
So yeah, I don't know whose idea it was. I mean, it's a good spectator idea, but from a medical point of view, it's not something I would personally have voted for.
You know, it sounded as somebody wanted to add more track events to the morning session when they didn't have any. But Rachel, you have a view on it? You have a view on it, Rachel?
Not my area of expertise.
Okay.
Somebody has a hand up, Stu.
Okay, before I go to the person aside, what the whole idea of this is okay. It's funny enough that the one event or the one event that is most affected by wind, and sometimes you have a situation where the fastest loser that goes forward could have had a more positive wind, in that heat, as opposed to another. If you get what I'm saying, so he may have gone, he may have the best, become one of the fastest losers because his particular heat had more wind positive in it, but it wasn't used for the 100 because that is what I think that I'm saying. It wasn't used for the 100, it was really used for the 200, and yet it's 100 that that some of what they were saying, instead of using the fastest, you let them run a race again. So it's odd. Anyway,
probably because they thought that the persons who ran that preliminary heat might have been the likely ones to be caught in a repechage again, and they would then have had to run 5 times.
Yes.
That's why it wasn't done for the 100.
Yes, that's a good point. Okay, I see a hand up, and it's Warren is the surname. I can't pronounce the first name. Presnell. Go ahead, Presnell.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Go ahead.
It's D.P. Priestnell from the Kiwanis Club of Barbie. So I pick few cents. I mean, overall, it has been good comments from all the panelists. I think they touched on most of the topics. But I would want to know, what did they think about J3A's response regarding the omission of Nyoka Clunis, and whether or not head should roll pretty much, because I think that is one of the things, and it has come out in the comments. We have not held our administrators accountable. Well,
that response came before the Olympics, because remember, we know what they had to say. And one of the things that we were discussing when we were actually talking about the associations, whether JOA or J3As, is that we as the public, we don't have the power to make the kind of changes that, you know, it's not like a private company where your CEO messes up and he loses his job, right? So, in that particular case, they have already answered what the question in terms, you know, they said that because of the power interruptions with the internet and so on caused by that, they didn't have an opportunity to double check the entries, which is one of the things that they normally do. So they have come up with that. They have given us a reason. Now, you know, whether it's acceptable, you know, but they have given us a reason. So I wouldn't, you know, pursue that further. I mean, people do screw up. I mean, that's really what happens. People do screw up. It was unfortunate because, you know, you never can tell. I mean, with what happened with Stoner, though Stoner was on the radar, you know, we never can tell how well she would have done. I mean, a girl from Canada won. She wasn't a pre-meet favorite for the Hammer. Leighton, you guys remember? I mean, was she?
She was. She was one of the contenders.
Oh, she was. Okay. I saw her, but I wasn't familiar with her, so I wasn't sure if she was one of the favorites. But she looked like one of us too, you know. I don't know if she has Jamaica in her. Okay, let's
She was just the idea of being an Olympian is a huge thing, and she was denied the opportunity of being an Olympian. It wasn't about her even advancing to the finals. It was the idea of being denied the chance of being an Olympian, which you take through life.
Yeah, I don't know what
So
her PB.
hopefully she'll get another. No, she never had a chance, but hopefully she'll get another opportunity. Hopefully.
Yes.
Her PB was 71.89, I think it was national record. Who was the national record that he set this year? The fact is that had she gone to the Olympics, she may have performed to a level where she could have attracted a sponsor. Because one of the challenges that she's had is that she doesn't have a sponsor. Getting to the Olympic Games could have been an opportunity for her to attract a sponsor. And she loses that opportunity because of somebody's carelessness.
Okay, good, very good point. Very good point. Okay, I think we have covered most of the things that I wanted to. Let me just say, it was a little, I don't know how you guys feel about let's talk a little bit about the 100 meters. It was probably the most talked about event at the time when it happened, and even for a couple of days afterwards. I had really picked Kishane to have won, to win rather, let me put it that way. And I was a little disappointed that he didn't actually win. But I don't know why a lot of persons and Jamaica, well, why we have ignored. In other words, this point that was raised, I'm sure a lot of you by now have heard about it, where the argument has been that in the thousandth of a second was not supposed to be used in the award of medals. When we look back, we see a lot of cases. When we look back, we see a lot of cases where it has been used.
Exactly.
But that clause is still in the document. So I think that is not for us to justify it on the basis of it has happened before, but to ask the IOC what is the purpose of it being in there, and let them answer the question. That is how I approach things like that. Let them answer the question. And I know there are other sports. Swimming is one in particular that doesn't do that. I mean, what I'm saying doesn't do that. Doesn't use 1,000th of a second. And they justified it on the basis of saying, when you construct a pool, each lane does not have to measure exactly the same 50 meters. There are variations just by tolerance and just the fact you don't get the thing exactly right. So, but you provide a tolerance to the contractors, and if they are within the tolerance, right? But then what they are basically saying, if you go to 1,000th of a second, well then you are pretending that you are being more accurate when the actual physical facilities are not even that accurate. Now they have a case that we don't have, at least in 100 meters. 100 meters is probably we should be able to measure a straight line, fairly accurately. But I'm wondering, even when you do you run around the track, how do they check the lanes? Earl, you should know that, because tell us a little bit about the surveying behind lane measurement when you go around the full circle. I think you have been involved.
The little I know is that for the 100 meters, it's really 90 points. There's a thing, you're allowed a few centimeters plus, but not minus. Oh. And when you're running around the track, you're actually running it's almost 2 feet from the rail. That is what gives you the full 400. I did the certification of the track for 2002.
Oh, the World Juniors, okay.
And we did it to specs that are set. So your baseline, I think, was 90.7 something. And from that, you turn off your right angle to the tape. And the tape one is the correct one. And you measure back to the start. So that finish line is really exactly. You're allowed a little more, but not less than. So they don't have plus or minus. Mm-hmm. You cannot, if you're less than, you're going to have to move to get it. So you don't run less than 100 at all.
Okay. Clyde, you wanted to say something?
Well, as one says, not so much IOC. IOC goes by IWS rules.
I meant it's World Athletics. Yeah, it's World Athletics.
World Athletics, I mean.
It's World Athletics.
Yes,
yeah.
What I'm saying is that what has happened is that what is in practice is that even though that is written down, they have already had ample cases where determinations have been made by 1,000th of a second. So there is that precedence, and I don't know if we are going to be able to go back to saying, okay, even though they figure that their timing devices are more accurate now, so they will hardly lean towards going back to a 100th of a second. Know that they can determine a difference between two persons in that way. So it's probably here to stay.
Yeah, and look at it. Just last year at the World Championships, second, third, and fourth were 988. They were separated by 1,000ths of a second.
Exactly. So they have been using it for a while.
I have one problem with their rounding off though. My science.
They don't do it like how you do it in maths.
That's right, because 9785 remains in my setup. 9785 remains 978. But if it was 9775, it will go to 978. But the computers don't.
We understand why. We understand why.
Computers cut down every time.
Let me share something. I asked Meta. I use Meta AI and asked them a question. is it possible, and I'm just going to read it, it's not too long. Is it possible to alter the image of a photo finish such that one person may appear to beat another when he or she has not? A photo finish is a representation of 3 dimensions on which a piece of paper, on a piece of paper, which is 2 dimensions. Can the line only be drawn in one position? Now, let me just read the answer that Meta gave me. Yes, it is theoretically possible to alter the image of a photo finish to change the apparent outcome, since a photo finish is a 2D representation of a 3D event. There can be some subjectivity in how the image is interpreted. They go on to say, the line on the photo finish image, known as the finish line cursor, is typically drawn by hand or digitally placed by the officials. While there are guidelines for placing the cursor, there can be some variation in its placement. Additionally, factors like camera angle, lens distortion, and image resolution can affect the accuracy of the photo finish image. In rare cases, these factors might lead to disputes over the placement of the finish line cursor. To minimize potential errors, World Athletics uses high-speed cameras with precise timing, and multiple officials review the images to ensure consistency. However, as you pointed out, there is still room for potential variation in the interpretation of the image. And then it says, in recent years, World Athletics has implemented automated photo finish systems, which use computer algorithms to detect the finish line crossing and reduce the potential for human error. These systems aim to provide more accurate and objective results.
Term variations is a classic.
So, you know, when we think we're being more accurate, but, you know, let's face it, if Amiga comes up in 2 years' time and says, I can now measure time to 10,000ths of a second.
And they are going to.
Now, are we going to use that? Are we going to use that? In other words, I'm just, huh?
I suppose we will.
No. There has to be a point where it now is making it makes the whole thing ridiculous. And that's what I'm saying. That you can get to a point where it really has no significance. And that's why I think that we should ask I did say IOC, I meant World Athletics, to really justify or tell them, well, why is it there? Let them answer the question. Let us not explain it away for them. Okay, I see a question from Marcel.
Marcel should have protested, Stewart.
Yes, I really think so. You know, but because we kind of have an idea that says, well, since they have done it before, then we should, you know. But I really believe that you should have made the protest and say, well,
and
this is what.
And he knew that they would give the American over us.
Okay, I know why you said that, and I've wondered about that. Marcel, you have your hand up, please, and we're gonna wrap in about a bit shortly.
Yes, I know. And let me just quickly say, and it was really on that matter. I think Jamaica can satisfy themselves to say, look, it was basically a dead heat. You just leave it at that and move on, because when you have to be arguing about who was a winner, it was not clear winner. And when you have to get down to that kind of a separation, you know, he was there. But my real point is that the thing that I wanted to speak of was the obvious dilemma and the challenge that we faced earlier on concerning how we fix the fixing of all that has gone wrong, the debriefing and the investigation and so on. And the dilemma is, one, you don't want to have the political interference or government interference. And we can understand that. But I have a suggestion, which is that, listen, there are some major sponsors that put up a lot of money in this thing, you know. And maybe I would suggest to them, and this is going to in a little, you know, sensitive and maybe dangerous here, but maybe the thing that can happen from all the pressure is that the sponsors themselves come together and say, listen, going forward, right, we want to put some conditions on our involvement or continued support of whatever programs. And one of the conditions would be to have persons like what we have here now to broaden the involvement, and the decision making as to, because we have the talent here. As I say, we don't even have to go to Germany, we don't have to go to North America. Other of them might even come in here. So maybe the route that can go is, who pays the piper, as they say, call the tune, is that maybe the sponsors quietly could come together and say, look, obviously everybody say we don't want this to happen again. And they're gonna J3 they're gonna be protecting themselves, and the JOA and the ego thing comes in. So you're not gonna get anything out of it. But outside of a government thing, which you don't want to, maybe it is through the sponsors coming together, laying down some conditions and saying, hey, going forward, we need to have A, B, C, D, E. That's my quick thing on it. Okay,
let me throw in one. Because that is that would be a local effort but let me throw in one. That question about the personal coaches, it bothers me to the core. And I'm saying, why shouldn't the J3As, right, write a letter to the IOC and tell them what happened? Why shouldn't they do that? Why couldn't they do that?
Yes.
Right? Because obviously that was a low blow.
That's a major one, yes.
And that is what I would say to the J3As. Why don't you at least write a letter to the IOC? Because when they went to Paris and they found out what the true situation was. Nobody from the JOA should have done that. And that is something that if you want to,
that's a good point. And maybe going forward, they could say, all right, when you send anything, copy us. Send it to JOA, but just copy us.
Yes, but
copy associations that it relates to, because they have to work with IOC, JOA. We understand that, but maybe they copy the association, something like that.
May I come in here? Sorry,
sure.
Stuart.
Yeah, man.
Can we have a mediator between both organizations? Is there a mediator in Jamaica that can call both organizations, the executive president of both organizations together, say, gentlemen, we can't do this? Is there somebody there that is willing to do that?
KCOK, Kiwanis of Kingston, we can call
No. We don't have the expertise. but it's a serious, good question, Rachel. But people have to be willing, and I think it's when you call people. In fact, there's this dispute about about threats that were issued to Thomas Dodd. In terms of and we don't know. One reporter says this, and the JOA says that didn't happen. I don't know why reporters don't have this. I don't know if it's unethical to carry a tape recorder in your pocket, and when you're interviewing people, you make sure you have something on. I don't know if there's any, if that's against the journalistic ethics. I don't know.
You need to advise them. Just tell them that you're taping it.
Yes, at least. Well, they say, but probably then I wouldn't say what they were going to say. But we don't know yet, but I've heard words as if somebody, well, I don't know. So let me not say it. Because I don't know. But something like that, if it was said, would have gone against the spirit of what the IOC actually advocates. So, there are all of these things. But anyway, let's I think we have reached the end of what I would like to have covered. I mean, I just want to say a quick word for those.
Go
ahead.
1 minute.
Yeah.
I'd be very surprised, you see, if the documentation about personnel for these meets is not written available there on the IOCU webpage. I'd be very surprised if that documentation is not available, that anybody could read it.
No, but if they said they sent
I don't think that. Well, let me not say that. But I'm saying that all of these things are usually documented on their web page. You can go
Yes.
to the site and see all the rules. So I'm
Yes.
surprised
No,
if that
okay.
was not written there as to how many persons you can carry and all of that. I'm sure. It
No,
was
but
already
I
documented.
do. I have it on a fairly solid ground though. That it's something that was sent. It was something. You see, if it's not necessarily, it's not information that concerns everybody. It only concerns a particular group. You know, like when you had the thing about the World Athletics and the relays, that concerned everybody about how you're gonna do the selection process for the team selection and so on. But this is the Olympics, you know. So you don't necessarily have to send, and each athletic association is different because it's not the same. I'm sure it's not exactly, well, I don't know how they would do it, but I'm saying there was a document that was supposed to be sent. So I don't think it was something that was on our website. I don't think it was something that was on our website.
Oh.
Because if it was, when they went, they said, did you check the website? They didn't say if you didn't check the website. They said, weren't you sent, wasn't the document given to you? So that was the language. So I don't.
But are you saying whereas Jamaica might be 15, another country might be 20 or 25?
Yeah, man. It depends on the size of your athletes.
Obviously.
Depends on the size of the team you're carrying.
Right,
That's how it's worked out.
Right. So there's a formula.
There's a formula.
So, so it's not the number that would be in it. It's a formula showing how you calculate
Obviously.
it, and then that is how. So that's how. It's not a number, but it's a formula. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that I just want to say a quick word about some of the bright things that we can look forward to. I mean, Jaden Hibbert he jumped injured. I'm so glad to hear that he's not gonna go to the World Juniors and just get himself healed, but he did come fourth. And I don't, Leighton, you remember how far behind is fourth and third?
3 centimeters.
3 centimeters. No, I mean, I just enjoy watching him do the triple jump. I really, it's like when I watch him, it's like I never see anybody do it quite like that. He seems to just hang in the air and just move, you know. It's really a joy to watch. Really a joy to watch. You know, I'm for next year, and let's face it, we're not just talking about LA. We're talking about the next the World Championships, which is next year. Where is it gonna be again? World Championships next year is where?
Tokyo, Japan.
Okay,
Tokyo.
back to Tokyo.
Yeah, Tokyo.
Right. Okay. So I'm really hoping for persons like this other hurdler who was injured and just came back this year, but obviously wasn't back to her Brittany,
yes,
right. Yeah, I'm looking forward to her, you know, regaining what she had, and I can see that she if she's back to her best, she's going to be a factor, and so there's a lot to look forward to. And know that you know, I will say this about Stoner. When I used to look at these guys like Shea and those guys who throw discus, I see these guys as giants. I mean, it was not in my wildest imagination did I imagine that one of our guys could beat those guys, especially that tall guy. I usually refer to him as, he looks like Clark Kent, you know, that tall one. That's who he reminds me of.
Christian Check.
Yeah, you're right. So it just makes it so much really pleasurable in terms of, you know, basking in the glory of Stoner's, you know, attempts and his 70 meters. Without, so easy to remember. There's no centimeters in.
No centimeters.
70 meters, new Olympic record. I was doing a check. I think we have 5 Olympic records. Correct me if I'm wrong. Usain's 100 and 200, the 4x1 for men. So we have those Olympic records. They're also world records. Well, they're not world records. You got 100-meter world record was done in Beijing, was done in Berlin.
Berlin.
Right. But
Yeah,
we still we still have
But
those.
we still have it. We still
We
have
still
it.
have it, right?
Yeah,
And then
Bulls 963, Bulls 19.30,
right.
Elaine's 10.61.
Elaine's
Yeah, those are
right.
the,
Elaine
and
said
of
right,
course the
and then
4 by
the
the 4 by 1,
discus.
the 4 by 1. I know the discus, yeah.
And the discus. So that's 5 Olympic records that we have. And you know, let me last comment on those who were
The 2
injured.
people hands up though. One, I mean, Jason.
Oh, sorry.
Give Jason.
Jason, go ahead. Go ahead, Jason. Go ahead, Jason.
Yes, good night. My name is Jason Lewis. I am Professor Rachael Irving postgrad student, and I just want to touch on a particular issue that we cannot be oblivious, right? Or not say that we take that out of the picture as it relates to injuries, early onset injuries, right? Pre-Olympics, right? Pre-Olympics, during the Olympics, and after Olympics. What we have noticed is that our athletes there's a sore point as it relates to injury prevention, right? And early detection of injuries, right? If we should look at the broader picture, we're seeing that most of our athletes were not as healthy or as at their best going into the Olympics as it relates to injuries. Elaine Thompson, Sharika Jackson, along with other notable elite high-end athletes, right? We have to integrate science, right, into we have to integrate science as a new tool to basically curtail this plaguing matter of injuries. Else we will forever, right, see our athletes pulling up in the critical times, right, of an event, right? And that is a point of contention that instead of us sending our athletes to Germany, right, to basically be involved in all these, right, fancy, what should I say now? Fancy therapy, right? We can basically look, right, to see what technology they have used, right, to basically heal athletes' injury so they can start to perform back at either near capacity, right, full capacity, right, or at least at maximal capacity. So what have become a very interesting therapy, apart from physical therapy, right, and massage therapy, stem cell replacement therapy have been basically a growing and more modernized form of healing injuries and scar tissues, right? Because the thing is that physical therapy does not necessarily fully heal scar tissues, right, 100%. So you know what happened? If that muscle, right, if an athlete should be injured, right, either going into the Olympics in terms of, just to say they didn't recover fully from an injury, but the injury is not really, they're not really feeling the injury or the effects of the injury going into the Olympic. That does not necessarily mean that that muscle is healed completely, you know. You understand? It can be a case where pain transmitted through nociceptors, right, is not as much where the brain perceives it as pain. So you know what happened? During the warm-ups, the athlete is fine and everything like that. But you know what happened when the athlete is supposed to participate in an event? As soon as, let's say for instance, a 100-meter race, as soon as that athlete exerts a certain type of force, scar tissues that are not really fully healed pretty much reactivates and basically yes.
Okay, Jason.
So yes.
Yeah. Okay. You covered what you wanted to say, I think, because I want to we want to wrap now. I take exactly what you said. I mean, a lot of what you said. You know, Dr. Irving had basically been covering it, but what I wanted to say, in fact, I wanted to give all our panelists a final word, and in fact, in terms of Dr. Irving's situation, I want to ask her now, how do we get from knowing about what we can do to actually getting people to do it? Yeah, Rachel, maybe you could help us there.
I can't answer that scientifically. I don't know. I don't know. I've been trying for years. I've been trying. If you guys know, let me know, because it's absolutely necessary.
Well, you see, one of the things that since this performance was less than people expected, would you think that that might encourage them to pay more attention to some of these other things? You know, because when we do well and we get, better and we get a lot of medals or a lot more medals, we tend to think, well, we're doing all right. The way we are functioning is okay. So we don't see a need to change it. I'm wondering if some of the disappointments can encourage people to say, well, hey, let's start looking at the science. But we have to tell, some of them don't even know that the science is there.
Or they don't want to know, Stuart. Yeah. What we have to do is egos. How do you talk? I'm a woman, a Black woman. How do I talk to you and I'm not trying to overstep, supersede what you do? Because you might be a good administrator. I'm a good scientist. We can work together for Jamaica. I'm not trying to be an administrator. I'm trying to supplement your administration so that Jamaica looks good. I would like to get that across, because I think that's the problem. It's more of an ego than anything else.
I think Dr. Irving is saying, in a way, the same problem is likely to happen when you say you want the J3s meet with the JOA and you need a mediator. They might not accept it at all. So it's the same thing with the science approach. But you have to work at it. You have to keep it up. Don't give it up. More and more people are going to lean into it. It will happen.
But you said something earlier, Rachel, where you said when you're working with Calabar and you about 3 years, and then you said that it stopped. Were you telling me that if somebody felt, well, we don't need to continue with that? Is that what you're saying?
No, or they start winning too much champs. So they don't need anymore. And then, they start losing again. And then you have moved on. But we have to come to some synergy, We have to come to some synergy to get it to work. I'll try. I'll continue to try. And there are younger students that you're training. Hopefully we can get it, get involved somewhat. I don't know.
You should go to KC. I won't like that. And then
no, I have a KC student who's my postgrad.
Okay, all right. I know that you couldn't leave us out.
Okay, all right. This is final comments. Leighton, your final comments.
On mute.
Just to say that this is, I think, an opportunity for us to reflect on the things that work well for us and how we can improve on them. And for the fans in general, I think it's a nice way for us to face reality about what the rest of that track and field is not just about us. There are no medals out there for Jamaica alone. You have to earn it, you have to go out there and win it. And the only way we can do that is to position ourselves, put ourselves in the best position to do so. And the little fights and battles over five the man who's boss and who's not that come with the success that we've had over the last 20 years. They need to stop for us to then focus on the collective goal of succeeding at the Olympic Games and the World Championships. Other than that, we're going to continue to have these discussions about what we could have done differently, as opposed to looking, how we can continue to improve.
Daddy, your last comments?
The future looks bright. Our talent pool is huge, and I'm expecting us to get better and better. But on the point that Dr. Irving is mentioning, it is a real issue that I have found, without stirring up any problem, that generally speaking, medical personnel is by and large marginalized in sports, in track and field sports too. Persons almost will go to the doctor last. they have the masseuse rubbing out the problem, different things being done, and rather than going to the doctor first to try and get an accurate diagnosis as a starting point, that is often marginalized. So I'm glad that this has come across. That certainly is an area that needs rethinking as we go forward, as far as injury management is concerned. Interestingly, there's a Jamaican past student of Monroe, has shared it with Dr. Blake, and he says he knows him because he comes and helps us for champs. He's one of the senior persons working with the Chief Medical Officer program that the U.S. Track and Field has, where they actually go around. They have a program going around to the different track clubs, and they actually have an injury assessment and management program in place. And they're saying that has given them a lot of success in minimizing the injuries they have with their top athletes in major events. You know, it's something to think about. It's an area we really marginalize medical help in sports in Jamaica generally.
Right. Well, I think that's a good point to end on. And I'm sure that if Olivia was here, she would have probably had some closing marks. But ladies and gentlemen, that's it. President Newton, back to you.
But you remember me?
No, he'll do that.
Thank you.
In a silhouette.
Thank you, DP Stewart. Thank you to the panelists. I mean, as I said, everyone this evening, I knew everyone's expectation would be reached and exceeded, and it certainly, I'm pretty sure it has. But here it is. It's not mine to give the official thanks. It's for the man who measures tracks to make sure that they are the right length. DP Earl Spencer. So DP Earl, you're up to represent us, sir.
Right. Thank you, President Newton. And I have the honor of thanking the panelists. I only know one of them, but I now know all of them. And it was really enlightening. And I think from the very outset, it was putting us in the plane to say, come back to reality. We are human beings. Remember, these people have reached the Olympics. Look how many finalists we had. And it is a good reminder, because I always remember Foggy Burrows saying that at the 1960 Olympics, when Italy won a silver medal, the newspapers in Italy, nobody knew who won the gold. That is how nationalistic they are and how proud they are. And he said, you can't tell a man who came 8th, but he come last. You know how many people he beat to get to the final? And we keep remembering that. We will understand that we are punching way above our weight. I see a chart that shows Jamaica at the top. When you think about the per million people in a country, China is at the bottom. Jamaica is at the top, and America is just a 3 above China. So we are doing well, but based on what we have seen happen, and the panelists have endorsed it, there are many things that we could do better. And if only administrators would remember that they would be administrating over nothing if we did not have the athletes, and that they must sort of cater more and still guide the athletes, and we will be forever joyful. So we must thank you on behalf of Kiwanis Club of Kingston, all the panelists, for your participation. And I'm sure there are other occasions that will arise that each of you may be invited again to give a perspective on part of your expertise. We thank you very much. And I know that certificates of appreciation have been prepared, and DP Stewart will make sure that you get them.
I just didn't have a chance to do them before, but I will do them afterwards.
You can rest assured that DP Stewart will do it. He's a very hard-working person. dedicated and researcher. He makes all the time and makes our meetings very good. Thank you to DP Stewart.
You're welcome. President Newton.
Thank you, DPR, for representing us, sir. And yes, I have to endorse that. Thanks to DP Stewart, he has done it again. Thanks to our panelists. Well worth it. At this time, we're going to ask our Sergeant at Arms, VP designate Zuri Johnson, to do his thing.
Good evening, everyone. After such insightful discussion, I think it is only appropriate that we have a blanket fine this evening of $600, $100 for each medal that we got in Paris. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you, VP designate Zuri. You understand why now some of us thinking that you are going to be charged for life. But anyway, that's another argument. All right. At this time, we're going to be looking at notices and announcements and interclubbing opportunities. So we're going to ask our Secretary DLG Willie Reason, as well as President Charisse from Barbican to bring us through notices and announcements and interclubbing opportunities. DLG Willie, if you could start off.
Thank you, President Newton. Few notices. Thursday evening, I'll be hosting the first planning committee meeting of the 2024 Grand Christmas Charity Ball. My host at 6:30. Reminder now, few of you may know this date already, the joint club officer training along with the Kiwanis Club of Worthington is going to be held on Saturday, August 24th at the Secretariat between 1 and 4 o'clock. The trainer will be DLG Eileen Donaldson. So those officers, please note that date as Saturday, August 24th. While I have opportunity to speak to our fellow Kiwanis, those of you who may have outstanding returns, please do so because we'll soon need money to pay to Pegasus for the venue. In terms of interclubbing opportunities, we have two special invitations. One is from the Kiwanis Club of New Kingston, inviting us to their meeting tomorrow. The topic will be food safety and pesticides. And then on Thursday, August 15th, Kiwanis Club of Montego Bay will be celebrating their Jamaica independence. And their meeting that begins at 6 o'clock. Those are the announcements, interclubbing opportunities. President Newton, you may want to ask Kiwanis Club of Barbican if they have any announcements. Thank you.
Good night again, everyone. President Kerry is here. Secretary Giovanna had to leave earlier, but for us, this Saturday coming, we'll have our monthly feeding joint with Kingston at the Mary Atkins Night Shelter. The division will also be hosting the divisional scavenger hunt via Zoom. And next week, Tuesday, we'll have our in-person meeting at JEF. That's it for Barbican.
Are you still taking
President Newton?
Are you still taking announcements?
Hello, are you hearing me?
No, yes.
Okay, I'm back. I lost my internet for a second. So are we through with notices and announcements?
Yeah, Barbican gave theirs, but we don't have any other member club. If any other club present would like to.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, please.
Extending an invitation for any other club online that has notices or announcements to go ahead and make them know.
Okay, so thank you so much for this opportunity. It was a wonderful meeting, very inspiring. However, our 23 CSO is hosting on the 17th of August, that is this Saturday coming up, we're hosting our new members conference, and our panel consists of come on. No, I don't want the PDT Ralston, what's her name? DP LGD Velmore Lawrence, and LG Desmond, and the moderator is no other than our own DP Stewart. So we invite you to all come out with your new members and do partake in this this panel discussion. Ask any questions, what you should be doing as a new member, and where you want to take your Kiwanis membership. And then on the Sunday, the Monday, which is the 19th, we have our monthly meeting, and our speaker will be no other than Vice Governor Designate Sharon Williams. So do come out to these, and we look forward to having you and entertaining you and interacting with you. Thank you.
Thank you, President Eurydice. Any other announcements? Any other announcements? No? Okay, at this time, we are going to call on DP Marcel to bring us our thoughts for the week.
Quick thought for the week. Yes, I've been waiting in the blocks. Here we go. Don't feel bad if people remember you only when they need you. Feel privileged that you are like a candle that comes to their mind when there is darkness. Thought for the week.
Thank you, sir. Short and sweet. All right. Well, we're at that point. It's now what, 9:22, and if there are no other announcements, no other points, no other issue that anybody would want to bring to the fore now, I would at this point terminate this meeting of the Kiwanis Club of Kingston. As expected, it was a great evening. No one minds that we are almost an hour over our scheduled time, because it's items that we needed to discuss. We needed to have the perspective of those who know. And I'm pretty sure now the conversation will continue, but it will now be intelligent conversations from those who were on this evening, because now we know more of the facts. Now we have a direction rather than just going by feelings. So thank you all for coming. Those of you who have to get home, safe journey home. For everybody, remember we meet on this platform every Tuesday at 7 o'clock, and you're always welcome to join us.
Toast.
Okay. The topic was such that I've even forgotten a part of the protocol. So just before we terminate, I would like us to all raise our glasses, imaginary or not, and raise a toast to Kiwanis International, Jamaica, land we love. So at 9:23, this meeting